5 now. We are going to start ASAP. Over to you, Dr. Fola. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Sandra. Thank you, everyone. Nice to join this amazing group. I can see everybody's, at least a lot of people are on time, which means you're very serious about what we're here to do. And so, thank you very much. So, yeah, my name is Dr. Fola Shade Alo, and I'll just kind of like let me share my screen. I kind of put a little bit of something together. Well, I need to find it. Okay, found it. Please let me know. Show my screen. Yep. Is
Yes, we
that
can see it.
fab? Thank you. Right.
And it's clear.
Lovely. Okay, so nice to meet you all again. Like I said, my name is Paula Shade Law, and I don't know, some of you may or may not have kind of like met me across social media platform one way or the other, but I have been kind of a bit active, and I know I and the Waka Waka Doctor have come across ourselves across different forums, different platforms. Again, talking about some of these conversation that we're having today. This one, which is around scholarship, and for you guys to have joined. So I prepared this slide, and it may, well, let me see. Do I know how to move my screen? Hide this one. Okay, okay. I think I'll have to control it from here. But can you still see? Is that changing, please?
Yes, it is.
It's
It's
changing.
moving, just
Okay,
like a PPT. Yeah.
okay, fab. So I think because I'm sharing my screen, I may not be able to even see the comment or see ourselves. But if there's anything that I'm going off rail, just kind of like help me, get me back on track if needed.
Okay.
So
Okay. Thank you. I'll do that.
fab, thank you. So, like I was saying, that I have been kind of like talking about international students admission scholarships. And so today we're talking about scholarship. And like I said, you all have probably from Waka Waka Doctors Network. And so I want to believe for you to be in that circle, for you to be engaging with him, you already have some idea of some of these things we're going to talk about. So I'm going to still, the way I've prepared this slide, it kind of like covers some bases, but I feel like we may already know some of these things, and so I may at some point move a bit quicker to maybe some other places that I feel needs more emphasis. But like I said, if there's anything you want me to go back or just pull me back, I'll be happy to do that again within the time that we have. So I'm going to talk up briefly around scholarships, where to find them or where to find some of them, the timeline, some criteria, application and interview or preparation generally. Maybe not basically interview, but preparation for scholarships. But before then, for some of you that may be hearing my voice for the first time or seeing me for the first time, just to introduce myself and maybe kind of share that connection in terms of where probably you are, and just letting you know that I have been in that same exact space or similar space some years back. So I came to the UK as an international student. That was 2014. I came to do my master's. My master's was partly funded, but it wasn't a full funded opportunity that I got. But I mean, I still make do. Thank goodness family and friends were able to chip in, and I cannot go into the details of how challenging these things are, even more so now than what it was then. So which is why a lot of us are looking into scholarships or possibility of funding to support that huge commitment that it takes to study abroad. So anyway, I came to the UK then, and then during my masters I was able to secure a fully funded PhD scholarship. And then from there I finished my PhD. I immediately started to work as a lecturer. I supervise master students, I supervise PhD students, some of which have completed their PhD even now. So in that journey, I have reviewed quite a lot of scholarship, applications, and supporting students, talking on social media and different places. And so that's just a brief snapshot about myself and how I feel like I know a bit more about what I'm saying. Obviously, not everything, but I know from me being an international student, me applying to secure funded scholarship and funded opportunities, and also me now reviewing, scholarship applications as part of my duty within the university. I review funded scholarship application for masters. I review for PhD as well, and we do interview and all sort of things. So I feel like I have a bit of idea of both sides of the coin as it is. So in terms of scholarship, I feel like I don't even need to talk about this slide because we all know this slide, right? That is why we are here. That is why we're looking for some of these opportunities. You know the benefits. But really, still just to reiterate, for some of us, just to remind us why, because it can be challenging, the journey can be really difficult and challenging. So maybe just to remind us of some of the benefits that comes with it. So I'll start with the financial benefit. With scholarship, most time you may have partly funded or even fully funded opportunities. I'm Apologies that I'm maybe talking about UK a bit more than other countries here, and that's because that's kind of like my primary focus. But a lot of what I'm going to highlight definitely cuts across whatever country you're applying to. So most of the time you have fully funded or partly funded opportunities. You would have stipend for some people, which is monthly maintenance for accommodation, feeding, and some of these other things. You will probably, some may have traveling allowance, some may have grants for even research as part of your scholarship, overall scholarship content. In terms of non-financial benefit, and I think for me this is even the part that is probably going to make it more I mean, the financial makes it worth the stress and the hassle, but I feel like the non-financial benefits supersede in my view, because it takes you long term outside just the funded opportunity of maybe a year, or for PhD maybe 3 years. It takes you over a lifetime sometimes. The kind of network you build as part of a scholarship or funded community, it can take you throughout the lifetime, where you are having global alumni network that of people that can actually enhance your journey, your career. You are having professional development because you're being invited to conferences for some workshop, and maybe even engagements with some political or policy makers, and just enhancing your journey across, like I said, across your career, not just when you get that funding. So for me, those benefits, as a matter of fact, if you get a scholarship, you are most likely going to be able to get more scholarship, and also most likely going to be employed a bit easier, mainly because you have demonstrated evidence of academic rigor, evidence of productivity, evidence of problem solving, and all of these other things that come with getting funded opportunities. And they instill some sort of confidence in whoever is employing you or want to give you funding for a grant for a project that you're interested in. So it really helps build your profile and your portfolio generally. Now, in terms of types of scholarships, again, I would hope that we know some of these, that there are different types of scholarships, and those types can also determine how we apply for them. Not everything around scholarship will be able to dissect in this session, and personally not everything that I know. As you I don't know if I mentioned it, that okay, I think I did, that I'm a lecturer. So as lecturers we do talk quite a bit, and so I can have this class go on for 3 4 even more hours if needed. So that being said, that there's a lot that can be unpacked around scholarships, the types of them, and how to apply for them. But in a nutshell, I just put this into three main categories. The first one being university based, and I think probably this is the one that goes under the radar for a lot of people, and you don't really get people apply, as especially those that probably are qualified may not be aware of them and wouldn't apply for them. There are some schools that we have funding At least I'm aware of one that there are fundings and there are just no students applying for them. And the reason is the words are just not out there. People are not aware of, okay, some of these fundings. Some of them, it may not be direct in terms of scholarship, but it may be that you meet a certain requirement and then you can be given that funding. So, for example, there are some funding within university space that students can apply to for different projects or different needs. But obviously, you may not be aware of that because you're not a student yet. So there are also some that are for funded, may not be fully funded. Some of them are part funded, especially when it comes to university based. Quite a lot of them are part funded, but some are also fully funded. You may have within a faculty maybe one or two fully funded opportunities, and then you have part funded, maybe like 10, 20, or even more. And I say this, I appreciate that places like the US, they have massively, or even Canada, they have massive number of funding opportunities that may trump what we have in the UK. But still, I have to highlight what I know about UK, especially university funded opportunities. So just to say that my PhD was a university funded opportunity that I got. I remember when I applied for that, it was actually word of mouth. That's how these things can go under the radar. You don't even know. It was a lecturer that mentioned it while having a discussion in class. She just highlighted, oh, we now have a PhD funding opportunity within the faculty that is going out for advert. And that was how I picked it. And if I had not heard that, I probably wouldn't have applied for it. That's just to tell you some of these opportunities, university based opportunities, they are really, I feel like they are not, talked about as much as possible. In the UK, we have over 100 universities, and a lot of these universities have funding opportunities. Again, maybe part funded, but some are also fully funded. And I can almost assure myself that none of us here have gone through even half of the university's website and get information around their funding opportunities. I don't think we do that. This is just to highlight that there are some opportunities that are within university settings that we may or may not be aware of. So just to keep that in mind. Then the general one, I think like this ones are like the ones that are kind of like more common and the one a lot of people talk about. Government based scholarships. And the reason why this one is probably more of interest is because most of the time they cover everything in terms of the cost of coming to study in the country. So you have your full tuition, you have your stipend, you have your even travel grant, you have your visa fee. All of these things are covered. Most time with university based scholarships, some of them you probably, especially if you're not within the country, you probably would need more in terms of money, or some source of funding to support that, to be able to come for your program. But with government based, you're most likely going to be covered. But then because it's also very, very, well rounded, it's also very competitive, where you have a lot of people more, very interested in it, and the competition is quite high. I know right now, for example, the Chevening scholarship as of 2024-25 session, oh sorry, 25-26 session, which is this year, those that are going to start in this September that we're about to begin in the next few days, they in Nigeria alone, or in Nigeria, we had about 85 scholars that were selected for the Chevening scholarship, and we had thousands of applications. So from thousands to be reduced all the way down to 85, that's really, really, really competitive. But again, this is the reason why, because these opportunities are usually well rounded. So, but anyway, that's the government type. Then you have the NGO, some charities or individual funded scholarship. I was listening to the news. Was it yesterday or 2 days ago? Stormzy, I don't know if any of you are aware of that musician. He had a scholarship and sent his student to Cambridge. Unfortunately, I don't know what happened. It seemed like there was, I really, really can't say what happened, but I think the person passed. And I don't know if it's as a result of that scholarship. Maybe somebody else harmed them or not. I'm not sure, but the person that got the scholarship passed. But really, what I want to pull out from that is not even about, what happened to the scholar who won the scholarship, but the fact that individuals, some philanthropists may be willing to fund certain people for different reasons to study in different places, and that can be under scholarship, and that's also something that people apply for. So NGOs like the Gates funds, for example, in we have the Mastercard. These are organizational scholarships. There's several of them, and I think at this point, I would hope that we are aware of like the key ones in terms of the funding opportunity or the scholarship opportunities. So where can we find some of these scholarships? I think there's nowhere else than just the internet. Everything is on the internet right now, and it's where we can find everything really. So, but generally, you have official websites for some of these funding, bodies. For example, the Chevening, the Commonwealth, the DAD, the Fulbright, which is the US one, and then you have university funding pages. I did say earlier that universities do, a lot of them do have their own funding opportunities for merit, especially very based on academic merit. And that's the thing. Yeah, I'm coming to that. Or should I just speak about it now? There are different, when you're applying for scholarships, you have to tailor it to the type of scholarship and the aim of that scholarship and the funder. So a lot of emphasis that you put on certain things when you're applying for university funded scholarship may not be the same when you're applying for like government based scholarships, because the aim of why they are funding those scholarships may differ. In fact, usually differs. And if they differ, you expect that you also tell. So what I'm saying is, don't write a very nice personal statement and then just copy and paste it to different scholarship opportunities that as you come across them, because that may not work. You probably would need, to tailor it, and tailoring it, one of the ways is understanding the reason why is this scholarship even available, and then tailoring it like that. So we'll talk a bit more about that in a minute, I think. So these are some of the portals. I feel like this is probably not needed, because one thing I would always say is, someone comes to me and talk about scholarship or ask for of scholarship, I don't expect you to say, oh, Fola, I'm looking for scholarship for, I don't know, let me make something up, for maybe a Greek science. You should know some of the scholarships that are available for agri science. That's like the first thing. Some people are they literally are, and I know you guys are not that. I'm just saying, for you to be in this session right now, you are definitely not in that boat, I believe. But somebody just meets you and say, oh, I'm looking for scholarship for da course, or this field. For you to highlight you're looking for without necessarily saying, okay, I found this. Sometimes I ask people, which ones have you come across? Or somebody tell me, oh, Dr. Fola, help me look for scholarship in this field. It means you haven't even, for me, that tells me I'm not sure you're ready for that scholarship. Because for those that are ready to apply for scholarships, they already would have started the process, meaning at least know where to find some of their course related opportunities, what university pages, what government websites, what aggregator scholarship portal. So for example, you have the scholarship portal, find a master's, find a PhD, IFR, jobs.ac.uk, all of some of the, and so many other platforms, scholarship for development, all of these carry scholarship adverts. And so you should at the least be aware of some of them, and then we can start a conversation that, okay, you know about this scholarship, that relates to your field, and then it becomes easier. But when you are just like, I'm looking for scholarship, help me find this scholarship, all you have is the name of your course or the field you're interested in. That for me is probably not showing that you're ready for what it takes, because it takes a lot, and it can be very grueling and really challenging to really secure some of these opportunities. You imagine it, you have let me make this up, £50,000, for example, in whatever currency that you're in, just calculate it. That's massive amount of money, £50,000. So somebody, I, for example, have £50,000 and I want to give to somebody, for example, in the name of development. I would expect that you are going to demonstrate a lot for you to convince me, especially when I have other people that are also interested in receiving that £50,000. So it means that for you to say, I want a scholarship, it means that you're already interested or at least aware of what it takes, and prepare your mind for the hard work it takes. Scholarship finding and securing it, not just even finding it, just finding it. You can go to some of these websites, you can go to social media, for example, makes it a lot easy. I come across some scholarships, I put it on my page. Some other people come across different scholarships they put, so those informations are there. For example, you go on LinkedIn, you go on X, there are scholarship announcements every now and then. You see them, you push it out. Anyone I come across, sometimes I just retweet or repost, as they call it now. I don't even add anything, I just see it, I just repost. Also, just to say, if you see a scholarship on social media, especially, because I saw few of them, I don't know why people do this, and I don't think it's appropriate, because a lot of people are interested in these things, should be genuine. And I feel some people just post scholarship just to get the engagement. So I've seen a few of them that when I see it and I do my own check, which means, sometimes I go through the link, sometimes I copy that scholarship name and put it on Google search and check it itself. They are either out of date, meaning they've closed, or they don't even exist. And it's just for engagement. It's for those people that are not doing their due diligence, for them to be commenting, because obviously that's engagement. So you keep hearing, I'm interested, I'm interested, I'm interested. That's what some of these people want. So they keep on posting old or even non-existing scholarship as a way of getting engagement. So that's just something to be aware of. But still, there are still individuals that are genuine and they post out some of these things. So you can always find out on the university website, on official government websites, on aggregator websites, and even social media. Now, generally, scholarships, they open and close at different times, and there are some scholarships that are rolling. They roll, some of them, they are every quarter, so 3 times a year. Some of them are every year, a lot of them are every year. And yeah, and some just maybe one off. Maybe somebody, a philanthropist, just decide, I want to fund 5 opportunities, and that's it. So but generally you have funding opportunities, again basing it around UK. Chevening around, currently Chevening is open. I hope some of you are aware that Chevening is open. So if I was to be applying to Chevening scholarship for this year, I probably would be I would have been aware of the deadline, since the date is it's open even before, and I will be aware that Chevening opens around August and closes October, November-ish, depending on when it opens. Commonwealth, perhaps roughly around October towards December. Most university scholarships are mostly around early start of the year. So again, it doesn't mean you shouldn't check at every time or at different times, but mostly you will find that a lot of them happen or open around early time of the year, so January, February, and some more the way to April, depending on how long the length of that. So if you keep those kind of timeline in mind, knowing that, okay, from towards end of year, because once September comes around, the new cohort starts, then the scholarship bodies open again, especially the government ones. So like the Chevening, like this Commonwealth, then they open towards the end of year. After that point, the university ones open. Obviously, charities and NGOs, they differ because it depends on the charity. Some of them, they are reoccurring, and some of them are not. Like I said, some are one-off. But you want to keep an eye, especially be active from end of year, which is literally where we are now, or towards end of year, all the way to early the following year. That is when you want to really be active, because once April, May comes around, those times are for interviews and all these other what's it called now, decision making time, where they decide who's coming in the following September. So it's for you to put in the hard work. Again, prep way ahead. Here I said plan in advance, about 12 to 18 months. And I think somebody may look at this and be like, oh, what? But honestly, sometimes it takes way even more than that. Some people do not get the opportunity at the first try. Luckily for myself, when I applied for my PhD funding, it was the first PhD opportunity that I applied for, and I was able to get it. It's not like that for a lot of people. And also, just to say at this junction, that getting scholarship sometimes is not that you don't have what it takes, it's just that you probably are meeting up with other people that have maybe more than what what you have. So, but plan way ahead and start way ahead. It's not you identify those scholarships, and then you start to plan towards them and start to put in your documentation. And we're going to talk a little bit about the application process. So, in terms of the application process, you generally would have your online application. You will probably have a CV. You have maybe transcripts if needed, depending on which country you're applying towards. You have references. Very, very key here, references. Please, when you're applying for reference, I feel like reference, let me bring it here. Reference sometimes make or break some people's scholarship application. And the reason is you've done all this work, you've put in all this effort, but then your referee either barely knows you, or if they know you, they just don't know the details of what you've done, and they write something very superficial. And so if we are, for example, assessing two candidates and we've come to the wire, and it's like, okay, this person is really good, this person is really good, what can we use to make a decision? A reference letter may be what differentiates. So when we're going to look at this reference letter and we're seeing someone who's very detailed, who knows the student or the candidate, who've given, depth of their achievement, and some other application that is very superficial, it just makes it, or reference letter that is superficial, it makes it easy then to make a decision on which direction to go. That's why reference letters are very important. It's not just a tick box exercise. Meaning, I would advise, have your reference letter, have your application done as soon as possible. At least you may fine tune some things later on, but a very broad and general idea of your application should be ready. Identify those people that you want to give your application for them to referee you, or to write a reference letter for you. Make sure that you send your application. A lot of people don't do that. You should send your application with the request. Again, you may have informally asked them, oh, Dr. This, oh, Mr. That, oh, I want to blah blah blah. And once they are okay with that, like, oh yeah, yeah, put my name down. When it's time, let me know. When you are putting your formal request, like, okay, it's time now, can I have this? Please send them your application. It really helps, because me, if I get some of my students and other people that I've worked with, if I get requests for reference, a lot of time, it's very rare that I don't ask for the application you use. It's very rare. If someone wants to really help you, they would probably need the application document. If they don't, is when they will just write something superficial, like, yeah, he's a good student, is punctual, is hardworking. That does not get, or it may not get you the funding you're looking for. But when you have, because in your application you've already highlighted your achievements and your interest and everything, it makes it easy for them to see, okay, the depth at which you've written, and then be able to follow up with a good reference letter. And also, please, names does not necessarily mean good reference letter. What I'm saying is names, accolade, achievement. So Professor JACC of whatever university may not carry as much weight as someone, even if it's an entry lecturer. It's better that the person knows you and is trusting and believing of your achievement or your capability, than someone who you just, because they have a very massive academic record, and they just write something superficial because they don't know you. Let me move away from that. I hope that helps a little bit when you're thinking about who you're to, meet for your application. Or your reference letter. So this is just a brief of example of this Chevening scholarship. I think I focused a bit more on this because it's currently open, but there are others as well. I highlighted the Commonwealth scholarship. A lot of them, they want you to write essay, or you could call it personal statement depending on how they present it, mostly just to tell them about yourself. So in general, research, research, research. You can never do enough of research when you're looking for scholarship opportunities. You want to know the deadline, you want to know as soon as possible so that you're prepped for it. As a matter of fact, if you're applying for scholarship next year, all of the scholarship opportunities that you may be eligible for, you should be aware of them like right now and their deadlines so that you're prepped towards it. Very strong CV would always be a good thing for you. You have very strong CV, relevant work experiences, volunteering. I know we're busy financially and all that we have to deal with. Apologies. But it's very, very important or essential that you have a strong CV, and that may require you to volunteer at some point. Strengthen your academic references. I've talked about that. Professional reference as well will be good, where you've worked and all of that, and then align career goals. Now, let me just move quickly into, I feel, well, I'm just trying to cherry pick at this point, because I want to give some time for questions as well. But in terms of preparing for interview, let me just say one or two things here. That please, we know about this STAR method. I want to believe we do. And you can also use it not only for interview, but even for your application, for your essay or personal statement writing section. Make sure that you're not only leaving it as STAR, but you are adding impact. So I added this. I don't know, you want to call it maybe starry, but I'm the one that added this, the impact. So result is the outcome. And again, sometimes it may mean the same and sometimes it may mean different. So result is, so this is the situation, for example, this is what you did, these are the actions you took, and this is the result. But sometimes in addition to the results, you can have what is the impact. And I think it will be good that you sit down when you highlight what you've done and your achievement. What is the impact? The impact is that change, not just the outcome, but a sustained change that happened or that has happened as a result of your action and your involvement. So I would want you to really take time and think about not just the action, the situation, but the impact. It can be very helpful in that sense. So moving on, please, a lot of the scholarship, application, I meet some students, they say, or some candidates, they go, oh, I have first class in this. Very, very nice. Very, very nice. I would open up now and here and say a lot of people don't know this. They assume I'm like the smartest person. I'm not. In terms of my field and whatnot. When I did my masters, I did not come out with a distinction in this UK. I had a two, well, you could call it merit. I think they call it merit 2-1. I had a merit, and I got scholarship before I finished my masters. So my masters, I got my scholarship, fully funded PhD scholarship in July of 2015. So I came 2014 September. July the following year, I got my masters, my PhD funding confirmed and everything. And I finished my masters in September, October. I was supposed to even start my PhD before I finished my masters. My offer letter was carrying September start, but then I had to move it to January. But that's the reason why I'm saying this is your achievement when we're assessing scholarship opportunities is not just academic. Performance is good and it's something we encourage, but having a first class does not make you scholarship material. These are the things that makes you scholarship worthy. Volunteering, community engagement, impact, membership, extracurricular achievements. A lot and lot of them will probably do you more good even. But I'm not downplaying playing academic performance, but I'm saying you want to go take your reader or take your assessor beyond classroom into the wider community, the impact, the achievement, the engagement, the problems that you've been able to solve, not just within the classroom. So hopefully that helps. So generally, key takeaways: start early, tailor each application. Don't just copy and paste different opportunities or different same application for different opportunities. Demonstrate leadership and impact. Impact, I cannot overemphasize that. What the so what? Okay, you've done this is the result. And then so what? So what happened after this result? You want that to shine through in your documentation. And then prepare well for your interviews. And like I said, strong profile for me and from my experience that I've seen, it is strong extracurricular achievement. Definitely academic achievement, but also extracurricular. I don't know, Sandra, how many minutes have I got left? Or have I even exceeded my minutes? Hello? Can I carry on? Okay, maybe because of okay, all right, Fab. Sorry, I can't see the screen. Um if not, I won't be able to move my screen. That's why. So here, if I still have time, let me know. If I don't, then I'll just shush. But here, what I've done here, sorry, my laptop is yeah, moving about. So what I've done here
Yeah, you
is
still have time.
thank you very much. It's helpful. So what I've done here is I've gone online and I've looked through a Chevening essay, a Chevening winning essay, meaning this essay was approved and was given the Chevening scholarship funding, right? So obviously this is the year. It's not definitely not this year or last year. It's probably a few years ago, maybe 2 or 3 years ago now. So meaning that slightly some things may change in terms of the structure of the essay if you're writing an essay for a funding for Chevening, for example, now. But this still, I feel like this still can give us a background of what a funding winning essay can look like. Actually, when I was putting this together, my idea would have been that we kind of like work on this as a group, but I really don't know how that work because I can't even see my screen as I'm sharing it. Um, so what I wanted us to do would have been I can't read this. It's a lot, It's about 500 words each. So but what I wanted us to do, if I was doing this maybe in a classroom or a workshop setting, I would have probably broken us into small group, and then in each group we read this essay and then we'll pull out the key things. What I liked for us to pull out are the key achievement that this individual have highlighted as part of their application. And the reason why I think this is important is a lot of us are not familiar with what are the key achievements that some scholarship, body or funding individuals or organizations are looking for. So if you yeah, I don't think this will probably be possible because like I said, I can't even see my screen sharing. But what I also did was I pulled out the key things, the key achievement that this individual highlighted. So they talked about, so from these four essay network studying in the UK, they talked about why they stopped studying in the UK, their career plan in 2024, their projection and all of this. So it's quite in-depth essay, and I wish I could print this out and give each person and then we work on it as a group, but it doesn't seem that would be feasible. So, but what I've done is I pull out the key achievements that this individual have highlighted in their essay. So, for example, with the leadership essay part, this leadership and some of the activities, they talked about co-founding a apologies, I probably will miss this up because it's not It's not something of Creasi, Indonesia. I don't know. Forgive that. But it's a software company or software or gaming company that they started up, really. So that's one of their achievements. They talked about their gaming startup. They talked about how they grew their team from 2 members to 9 members. They talked about a submit, a student organization where they organize webinars, seminars, workshop, maybe something similar to what we are currently having right now. They talked about developing an SME project in a turban or tuban in a place where they do packaging, branding, clinical tests, and all of this. So, in this very part of this essay, they were able to highlight at least one, two, three, about 4 key things or leadership engagements that they have. And then they highlighted the outcome or the results, or again, you could say the impact, but I can also add a layer on top of this in terms of impact, actually. So here they said they expanded the company workforce. Again, they talked about 2 to 9, so that's expansion. They highlighted supporting SME development. They highlighted product scale and into giants, especially giant supermarkets. So that means they were able to get their product into supermarkets, and they increased local SME revenue from 20 to 30%, or by 20 or 30%, roughly. So, meaning these are some of the outcomes from all of these activities that they've engaged in. So these are just the leadership part. These are the things they highlighted. Remember, they did not just highlight this outside the context of what they're applying for. So they're applying for a course around entrepreneur and maybe business. And so some of these things that they've highlighted is closely related around growing a team, funding a company, and all of that. So when you're applying for an opportunity, you want to make sure that it ties really well, whatever activity you have to talk about. We all have life, right? And our lives literally can fill a textbook or even more, So we don't expect you to write everything. That's why you have to cherry pick what is important, especially what is relevant to what you're applying for. And so that's part of why you need to tailor your application, because some places, some information are not relevant to what you're applying for. So you may downtone that and enhance other places as needed. So, but yeah, in terms of outcome, these are their outcome. So in terms of impact, can anyone attempt, and you may put it in the chat, I think I'll need to go back to where the chat is, or something around impact. What impact do you think this person can maybe add on in terms of their application? Obviously, I've put here impact slash outcome. They're quite similar, but I still feel like they may be able to get away with adding something maybe more magnanimous or bigger. So is there anyone that can think of anything else that can be added to this? Expanded company workforce, sorry, supported SME, product scaled into giant supermarkets, increase local SME revenue. Any other impacts you think? Anybody? No? Okay, so normally in my class when I'm teaching, there's a lot of conversation with my students. It's like back and forth. We are non-stop talking. Sometimes it's even difficult to get them to stop talking. But yeah, I do like to ask questions. I know I've been talking for quite a while on my own, but this is because it's not.
Dr. Fola,
Yes.
some people are dropping comments in the
Oh,
comment
apologies.
section. Would you prefer I read it out for you?
I think so, because I can't even find my way to the comments.
Yeah, because it answers your questions.
Right. Please, if you can. Oh, okay. I think I've seen it. But I think you're probably still better highlighting it. Impact on, oh yeah, okay, I've seen impact on the teammate lives, right? Corporate social responsibility, fab. Yep, I think those would work. I think there can also be argument for uh generally, I think there can also be argument for I'm coming at this, apologies, I'm coming at this from health perspective because I teach public health, but I think there can also be argument for increased or improved quality of life within the communities that they are in. So when this person said they increase local SME revenue by 20 to 30%, that means you are improving or enhancing the life of those individuals through financial freedom, through financial, opportunities and all of that. So for me, that can be an overarching impact of what they have been able to achieve from these outcomes. And that's what I would want you to keep in mind. You want to start small, the activities, then you now bring it to what are the outcomes of that activity. Then I would like for you to and this can just be a line or two, in fact, maybe less than, what is the overarching impact? Something massive that you feel you can pull out from your activities and your outcome, and then the impact of that in the lives or the community. Remember, in your essays, you or your personal statements, you are writing like you are a community servant. You're not writing the impact on your life. Okay, so I achieved this and then I gained this. You're talking about how has this enhanced people, other people. And so whatever activity you've mentioned, always try and link it to a wider outcome or impact. So in their network, thank you for that, Sandra. In their networking essay part, they talked about, obviously because they built some of these companies, they talked about social network or social entrepreneur camp network with thousands of people, working with supervisors, well, businesses, local entrepreneurs, building network and NGOs and all of this. And then again, they have their outcome, or you could say impact. But then again, I would always say think of a wider influence of what you've achieved. So they hear community and educational support, strengthen businesses, and all of that. But then there can be a wider impact, which can be, liaising or collaborating or enhancing collaboration within some of the NGOs or some of the bigger companies that they are working with and those local entrepreneurs or local communities that they have. So something bigger than just what you've achieved is what I'm trying to think about. That there would always be something you can pull out. So don't just leave it as these are the outcome, fantastic, but how has that changed something in the wider space that you're working at? And then here they have what's it called now, they have future plan. So I was able to pull out businesses that they want to establish, especially with the UK. They want to strengthen bilateral trading. They want to enhance employment. They want to drive socio-economic growth as part of their impact and all of this, and or their outcome. And in terms of impact, for example, you could say they long term, they want to or they will be able to contribute towards Indonesia's GDP or Indonesia's economic growth, which is a wider, more broader outcome than just increased bilateral trading. When Indonesia increases bilateral trading, for example, with the UK, it will probably mean that there will be enhanced quality of life. One, there will be enhanced employment and all of that. GDP and some of these things may increase, and also it may mean that even life outcome for people in Indonesia would increase as well. I know it may sound far-fetched, like, oh, from just doing some of this, building a business, you're already talking about global impact, but that's what you want to highlight to enhance what you're talking about, to make it bigger than just now. I don't know. Talk too much. I do sometimes. Apologize. So I do have an activity here, and I don't know if we'll be able to do this, but if we can't, maybe take it as a take home. Because I feel like I've literally swallowed all of the time given to myself, which I normally do. So, what I would advise or what I would ask that you do is that you take a sit down. If you haven't, I know some of you may have done this. I would like for you to pen and paper and think of not your university. It's very important, definitely your qualification, but not just your university achievement, not your qualification. So, you have a first class, you have a 2-1, even a 2-2. We know people with even third class that are having some funding opportunities. So it is not about that. Those things are good, yes. But what I want you to do is pen and paper and highlight leadership achieve or your leadership and some of the achievements that you can identify. Give yourself about 3 to 5 examples of when you've probably led a project, led a team, started up an enterprise, and it doesn't have to be business based. I know the example I gave is business. I'm not into business. I have no idea what business is about, but at least you can see what that person, or you can think about what that person has achieved in your own space. What are at least 3 to 5 examples that you can highlight as part of your journey so far? Something you've created, if you've influenced group of people, community, or you've innovated something and it has had some form of change. That would be one. Again, some prompts, maybe are there problems that you were able to solve? Is there an issue that you were able to highlight or find a way of solving that problem? And that would be something for you to identify. Think about projects, think about research, even doing research in uni, for example. Those are skills or things that you can identify. You know, or highlight, sorry. Awards, if there are awards, I think those ones are always nice. Scholarship, for example, you're trying to get a scholarship. If you've already gotten a scholarship opportunity before, then it's definitely something you want to identify and highlight. Some, if there are any recognitions that you've received prior, volunteering opportunities, community service, and all of these other things can really enhance your application. I want you to think outside your academic achievement. It's important, your academic achievement, but beyond that, obviously, if you've published articles, any journal publication. Sorry, I'm talking from a lecturer's perspective, because some of you will be like, publish articles. It's definitely not a requirement, but if you have, it's definitely something that would be good. I know somebody in Nigeria, and probably some of you may have met them on Twitter Space, because I remember it was on Twitter Space. They are now in the UK. Well, they were in the UK the last time I heard about them. I don't know where they are now, but they studied in Nigeria, and within their undergraduate program, they had published, I think, over. I'm making this up, maybe, I don't know, but I think they've published about 50 articles. That's commendable. That's exceptional, especially for Nigeria. Even outside Nigeria, even here in the UK, is exceptional for that amount of publication, and they were able to achieve that in Nigeria as an undergraduate student. Obviously, that's something that really would enhance their outcome, their profile, and all of that. They got a funded opportunity. I think they are studying in one of these Oxbridge universities, fully funded, obviously because of that achievement. So I'm not saying academic achievement is not good. So if you publish something, even Twitter or social media, all of these things they do have impact. Maybe you've put together some group, or you have some intellectual and you know influencing discussions that have really had some form of impact across different groups. Those are things that you can highlight. What I'm just trying to say, not only classroom, and classroom is good, is essential, but not only that. The other thing I would like for you to do as a take home is that you want to think about networking. Most of the scholarship, not just Chevening, most of the scholarship would have element of these things, or they would expect them in your application. So networking, have a list of people or organizations that you've connected with, that you've worked with across the years. Think about them in relation, maybe professional organizations, even scholarship bodies, individuals, key individuals in society. Maybe governor. Some people have worked with governor's office, some people have worked with head of this, head of that, director of that, and they've had some form of community engagement, so to speak. You want to identify those, list them out. Don't write any essay for now. Just list out, list out, list out. I want you to populate each of these sections, because that will then make it easy for you to write a story around that. The star or the starry, like I said, where you have your situation, the task, the action, the result, and the impact. So you will be able to, if you are able to list out maybe mentors, employees, or employers or government agency that you've been able to engage with, you list them out, then you can write a story around that in regards to solving some problems or issues that may come up. And the last one is for you to have a short-term plan regarding what do you want to achieve in short term. So maybe is that you want to get a job, a certain job, or you want to build an NGO, or you have an initiative that you're interested in, business. Identify that. Also, mid-term achievement. How would this enhance, would this grow from maybe being a one-person job or one-person organization initiative to maybe multiple individuals? You want to highlight that, or at least list out how you will achieve this. Don't write an essay, don't write a long story narrative, just bullet point each of these. And then finally, your national or international, and that's where your global impact comes in. Think, from this small thing that I have in my head, how can it become big? And the way you can know how it can become big is for you to look at who are those individuals, organizations, or even agencies that are doing something that you're interested in at a global level, and just say, from this point, I am hoping that I'll be able to achieve that, 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 just from what they have done, just targeting what they now are doing. So I give an example. Maybe somebody's decided they are going to start an IT company, a small, or maybe AI. There's a lot of AI discussion going on. Maybe an AI initiative, and from that AI initiative, at the end, they are probably going to be heading towards maybe something that OpenAI is doing, or maybe Google is doing with their AI. Google have so many AI products and AI initiatives that they run. So you can identify one of them and they'll say, in the long run, these are some of the things I'm hoping to achieve, based off of what you can see from all these other organizations. So I hope this has kind of like given you some things. Yeah, I've gone past my time. I always do. I apologize. But I hope these have given you some things to think about. Like I said, please, these activities around listing out, I would like it if you take this one very seriously. These key parts, just list out. A lot of us, we just head into writing essay or writing personal statement or writing. For now, I just want you to strip back, just step away from writing 5,000, 2,000, 1,000. Just list out, bullet points, your achievements. And if you finish that, if you have someone that you can show, it would be good. To just say, okay, I think these are some of my achievements. Are there, and even your mom, your dad, your friend, people that know you, they don't have to be in academia or in scholarship space. They can tell you some of the things. Oh, my dear, you've downplayed yourself. You actually did this. You achieved that. They can remind you and add on to it, so that you have a really good comprehensive list before you start to write any essay or composition as it may be. So yeah, hopefully I'll soon shut up. But hopefully, this has given you some things for you to think about regarding scholarship. Like I said, it can be an intense journey, and some people it takes it's like full time job sometimes. It takes a lot. I put some links here or some places which again I want to believe a lot of you know some of these Commonwealth scholarship, some scholarship portals, IFA, which is a huge scholarship aggregator website. And yeah, that's kind of like my rundown and wraparound of scholarship discussions. I don't know if there's any question, but thank you for listening. And yeah, that's me. Where am I? Wait, what am I doing? I am so
Thank
lost.
you. Yeah, thank you
I
so
am
much,
absolutely so lost. Wait,
Dr. Fuller.
sorry.
You
Let
can
me.
stop presenting so you can see now.
Okay, let me. Yeah, yeah. I mean, I do this normally at my work, but I don't use Google Meet. So this, yeah.
Yeah, it's
Okay, okay.
fine. Thank you so much. We're very grateful. We're going to go ahead and take questions if we have any, but I do say that you've been quite explicit and very easy and clear to understand. If you have any questions for Dr. Fola, please raise your hands and we can pick you. If you're in a place where you can't speak, you drop your question in the comment section and I'll read it out for you. Okay, I guess there are no questions. Just like me, I feel it was just so easy and clear for everyone to understand, and we were all participating. It just says a lot for how you were able to break it down. But it seems we have one person now. Amarachi, please unmute your mic and ask.
All right. Thank you very much. Thank you, Fola, for the lecture. I'll call it a lecture. Okay. All right. Thank you very much.
Okay.
My question goes like this: is it possible to apply for, let's say, 2 scholarships at a time? For a particular course. Why I'm asking this is because I'm a medical practitioner of over 9 years experience. So actually the course that I want to dwell in, in Australia, I want to do masters in clinical embryology, but the tuition fee they indicated there is extremely high. About in fact more than 50,000 Australian dollars or something like that. I was weak, so that's why I searched for the scholarship station. That's the scholarship section in their website there. That's Monash University. That's Monash University.
Mm.
The amount of money that they are putting there is so low. I was asking myself, is it possible to do this kind of course with the amount of money they are putting in the scholarship section? It's very, very low. So that's what I'm asking. Is it possible to apply for, a double scholarship, so that both of those scholarship boards can sponsor you in
Okay.
that particular course?
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for that question. And I think it's a very important question actually for talking about scholarships. So from what you've said, if I get you right, you're asking to if it's possible to apply for funding, 2 different fundings from the same university.
Yes, yes.
Right. So most time, and I apologize if I may or may not be correct in terms of because this is Australia you've mentioned, but I almost would say I'm almost certain that most even outside the UK, which is where I'm familiar with, that most time they do not give opportunities for that. So a lot of the time, what they would do is they would ask you to apply for, if say for example you're eligible for at least 2, they would ask you to choose the one with the highest should I say compensation or funding. So if this is maybe 50% and the other one is 20%, they may ask you to choose one. It's very, very unlikely in the UK especially. Now in the US, I know sometimes in the US there are some ways that individuals can pull different small grants and funding and put it together to become something big. But in the talking about UK context, it will probably be a no. And what I would probably advise is maybe email this university and just confirm directly, just so that
Okay.
you are certain of what the outcome will be. But yeah.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I think you've inspired few people to have their hands up. So or did I say wrong? I thought I saw one or two other hands.
Yes, Chichi. Chichi, you can speak now.
Okay, thank you so much. That was a very insightful lecture, Dr. Fola. Thank you for it. My question actually he has already asked, but I just want to ask if you can leave maybe a slide copy for us on the platforms, especially about
Okay.
the application, the Gashevnin,
Right.
so that we can have a sample copy of it. Thank you. That's all
Okay.
I want.
That should be doable. I think if I'm able to hand it to Sandra, I want to believe you guys will have access once it gets to her.
Okay.
Yes,
Thank
yes.
you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Fuller.
Fab.
You can just send it to me on WhatsApp and I would share it.
Okay, I will be doing that. I can see there's one in the chat. Is age a major factor for consideration of PhD? That's interesting you asked that. But no. I can assure you, no. I started my PhD when I was in my 20s. Obviously, it's a normal age, right? Or it's within the normal age of, PhD. But I know people who did their PhDs in 70s, 80s, and for scholarship, your age doesn't even come into the conversation. And that's why when we're asking you, your CV etiquette, so to speak. And I think we as Nigerians, with some of us, not everybody, and I think it's changed a bit more now, but some of us, our etiquette for CV writing just does not, is not what it should be. Meaning that we put a lot of unnecessary stuff in there. We put in our age, we put in our gender, some marital status, some date of birth, age, date of birth, similar stuff. Religion, we put unnecessary things. Anything that would identify or that would make someone to know the kind of the person you are is not needed on your CV. They only need to see your ability or to read out about your abilities, your achievements, and that's it. So your color of your skin, your even your name, some CV portals when you or some portals when you submit your CV, they extract those information, even your name, because that can influence. At least for my I remember when I was doing some training for interviewing and selecting people for job for my uni. That's part of the training that we had to go through, where and what I realized from there is that once you upload your CV, it gets extracted out, except if your name is in your personal statement. That is when that then automatically filters into your application. But if not, all of those things should be out. I'm not saying your name shouldn't be on your CV, it should be, but I'm saying other irrelevant information shouldn't be there. So your age is definitely not supposed to be a consideration, and it's not even a consideration when we are offering scholarships. I think it was last year.
Okay.
Sorry, was it last year that we had a funding opportunity for a PhD at my uni, and when we did the interview, we actually gave the oldest person that applied or that we interviewed, because they were the one that kind of excelled. So the age was absolutely not a factor, really. Yeah, that's it. I don't know if I've
Okay, we
clarified
have
that.
Volume's hand up.
Okay, it was thank you very much, Dr. Fala. It has been very, very insightful and inspiring. I've been trying to go for a PhD for a while now, and the same question that you just answered was what I wanted to ask. Is age a factor?
Okay.
So you've answered it for me. Thank you very much. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I think for what I would say in regards to PhD, and I know I apologize because I think my focus was a bit more towards masters in this presentation, and like I said, I can talk for days on on this topic really. So there's no way we could cover all bases, but just to say that for PhD, it is very much your application should be geared towards practical solution to whatever issue around your field, practical researchable solution. I think that for us that is more important than anything else. And really, even your academic achievements, that's why some people, they don't have a good master's outcome, but they're still getting funded for or funding for PhD because they're able to demonstrate strong real life problem solving using research. And that's very much important. So for me, for PhD, I would always say enhance, like focus squarely, well, not solely but a lot on your proposal, the problem you have identified, and how you're going to solve that using research. And I feel other things will probably fall into place easier if you have a strong research proposal for your PhD application. And then demonstrating how you're going to solve it, meaning skills like research method, skills like research analysis, skills like software use of different, for example, in my field, I'm health, I would say sort of like social science researcher. So skills like social science software that you are able to use to analyze and to break down issues as related to your field. If you can enhance those, is probably, and demonstrate those, is probably going to help you more than anything else around, I don't know, personal statements even. Just demonstrate how you can solve problems. Thank you.
All right, Chris, can you ask a question then? Hi, Chris. Hello.
Yes, can you please?
Yes, we can.
All right. Thank you, Dr. Fuller. Personally, this is quite educating, and I do appreciate. My question is this. You did mention of publication, but then you said someone published about 50. So one who has published like two in two journals,
Right.
does he stand the chance for PhD? Does it add up?
Okay.
Yeah. Then my second question is it allowed, is it okay for us to have access to you maybe for some other professional coaching while processing for our scholarships?
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. I'm always dreading that last question. Because most times it does come, but I'm always dreading it. So let me start with the first one. Yes, it's I said I saw someone when I got my PhD funding. Again, things are different even then and now. And like I said, sometimes I believe in God. I don't know if anyone does or does not here, but sometimes it's just God's grace, right? Sometimes it's just God's grace. Not that you have not done your work. You have done your work, you have put in all of the effort, but sometimes there will just be somebody that will just come and just take and just overshadow you, and they give the person. And it doesn't mean that you are not worth it or you can't do it or you don't deserve that scholarship. It's just that just happened. I remember my first job, when I did my interview, and they said, "Oh wow, we were impressed." The head of department called me. We were impressed. We were happy, but unfortunately, someone who had more experience. Again, it was my first job. I had no experience. Well, I had a few, but nothing significant. And they said, "Oh, unfortunately, we are giving the person because of that." And it wasn't because they didn't think I could do it, but because there was just that person who had just that a bit more. I still eventually got the job, interestingly, because they then needed one more person. So they didn't even bother interviewing. They just called me and said, if you're still interested, we want you to join. But really, going back to what I'm trying to say, really, you sometimes have enough. It may just be not that the grace of God may not be for that very scholarship. I'm not saying you don't have grace of God. It may just not be for that scholarship. It may not be for that time, but your time may be coming, and or it may be for a different thing, whatever it is. Somebody having 50 publication, it's very exceptional. It's almost, some people may not believe it, but I know this person, or at least I heard them. Not like I know them one on one. I've been in meetings with them once or twice like that, but I don't think they would lie about it. Even me, it sounds massive and is like, is this achievable within the time or the space that they did it? But they said they did it. But in regards to PhD, the more funding publication you have, the better. Always, always. There's no doubt about that. But when I got my PhD funding, I didn't have any publication. Like I said, I hadn't even finished my master's, so I barely even know what research was. But I had other things, and that's what I was talking about. Outside my academic achievements, I had other things. I was able to apply for grants. I was able to do some engagement. I was able to identify some things that just, kind of differentiates me a little bit from other candidates. And I think that was one of the things. And my plan, the idea that I had, and that's why I was talking about research proposal and how important it is. The research proposal that I had, I linked it to impact. Now, the impact that my general research proposal and everything, especially during my interview, the impact that I linked it to was to tell them that if I do this research and we find out some of these questions that I have, it may contribute to NHS. For those of you or some of you that may be aware, the NHS is like, UK's health system, whatever, always very, 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 very demanding, loaded with, there's a lot waiting time, everything is ridiculous in the NHS. And I was able to link my impact of my research that if we do this, if we find this, if we blah blah blah, it can add to this or reduce the issue of NHS waiting time. I think that for me or for them, I think that was enough. Like, oh yeah, impact. So I didn't just say these are the result of my research. This is what you'll find when we do this research. I then link it to something of real life use. And I think that probably added to why I got that funding. But I didn't have any publication when I got that. So publication is not mandatory, but is very good if you do have. And however many you have, 1, 2, 50 is all very good. In regards to my contact or contacting me, I mean, like you will probably see me on social media. I've been on Waka Waka Doctor's page. I've been around. I'm quite busy, and I know a lot of us are busy as well. And that's why I'm not very. Sometimes I go away for weeks, even months. I'm not able to come and engage, and then sometimes I'm able to manage and all of that. I'm not as active as I would like, but it's only because of work. So that being said, even though I can be contacted, I can be reached, I always say I like people. There's one student, for example, that I was supporting to get PhD funding. And I have to tell you, we've applied for 2 PhDs for this student, and she's been interviewed twice, and unfortunately, she's not gotten any. But we continue. I always encourage her. I tell her, no, we have to carry on. We'll look for another one. We'll do. At least for me, at least she's getting to interview stage. I feel like there's hope. But it's because of a lot of the work she does it herself. So I am here as a touch point of, oh, Dr. Fola, check this. How does it sound? Okay, how is this? How is that? And the rest of that. So meaning that even though I can be contacted and I'm happy to support, I won't be able to, for example, start looking for scholarship for you. and start searching and say, okay, this funding. If I see something that is relevant to you and I can like, oh yeah, this person, this might be good. Yes, I can send that. But if you leave it with me and say, Dr. Fola, I'm looking for PhD funding, and that's it, it will probably not, I won't be of much use in that sense. But where things are done and you want to check points, bounce things off somebody, okay, this is what I've done. What do you think? Help me check, help me, give me advice. Should I go this way, this way? Then maybe I can be of use. But again, in the context of there's a lot of work going on as well. So I don't know if that's of any use.
Thank you, Doctor. Hi, Chris. Okay, we can take Chris's question as the last now. We're 30 minutes beyond schedule. Hi, Chris.
Hi. Thank you so much, Sandra. Dr. Fola, yes, I will appreciate to get your handle, like you said. The second question I have is, like here in Asia, I'm actually in Thailand. The way it goes is you can write directly to the professors who you feel your work is in line with their work, or who you appreciate their work in terms of research. Then through that way, they can now advise you to apply for the funding. Does it work that way with Australia, UK, or any other place of which you know? Thank you.
Okay. Yeah. So thank you for that question. Actually, let me start with the one I'm pretty familiar with, and I'm in the system, the UK. So generally in the UK, it doesn't work at like that, for especially for masters or PhD funding, because a lot of the time you are required, I think it's by law, I'm not sure, but I think you're required to advertise those opportunities. So not just identify a student and say, yeah, come on board. It's pretty rare that happens. Sometimes we headhunt students or talent, where you're like, okay, this person may be able to apply. Okay, there's a funding we're going to put out, or the advert is out. Do you want to check it? I know a PhD well, the person is already on their PhD now, that they got their PhD through that way, where they were looking for post PhD, which is postdoc, and then when they emailed the person got back and said, we don't have postdoc opportunities, but currently we have a PhD opportunity that is being advertised. You can check it out if you can apply, and maybe we'll see. And they applied, and thankfully they exceeded every other person. They were exceptional and they got it. But that being said, it's very rare that you're able to email someone and they reserve a PhD funding for you in the UK. I know that goes on quite well in the US, or is possible in the US more than you have in the UK, and also even Australia. Some of the people I work with on Twitter, for example, that are in these countries, they do highlight it's a lot easier or more common, so to speak, that you have those kind of opportunities than you would in the UK. Most time in the UK, we can advertise, and that's also something. Please, if you're on X or Twitter, like we call it, go find, or even LinkedIn, go find some of these or some professors and lecturers within your field on those platforms. Because sometimes, once I have received several adverts sent to me directly by those that have them. So a professor that is looking for maybe a research associate or research assistant or research fellow sent to me and say, please, can you help me push it on your platform? Because they are looking for people. So sometimes those people have PhD funding. Unfortunately, that one that I got was not for international. It was only for home student. But this person had a funding for home student, and they sent to me, and I was able to push it out. Unfortunately, like I said, it wasn't for home student. It wasn't for international. But sometimes you get those people, so you want to follow them and keep an eye on their page. But it doesn't happen that much in the UK as much as you have in some of the other countries, really. It's not that UK doesn't have funding, but most of their funding, you go through the process just like everyone else. So there's really no preference in terms of, oh, I like this candidate, or I've promised this candidate. You go through the process. If you're able to exceed everybody else's capability, then you're giving the funding. So that's how kind of like how it works in the UK compared to others. That's me. Do I have anything else? Hello? Okay, I feel like we're at this point. Yep. Thank you, Chris. We're at the end.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you so much, Dr. Fola. You've been amazing. This is 30 minutes above schedule. But
I
we're
apologize.
very
I do talk a
excited.
lot. I apologize.
No. We're happy to even be here if we can, because your storytelling is so enthralling. So we get drawn in. Thank you so much. And this is where we say goodbye.
Thanks,
All right. Have a
everybody.
lovely day.
Have a
All
good
right.
day. Bye. Thanks.
Yeah.